Hi there, my name's Simon Drew, and welcome to the Practical Stoic Podcast, where I give you practical Stoic advice for modern times. You can support the show by going to patreon.com/Simon Drew. I also do one-on-one mindset coaching, and you can book in your first free consultation by going to risetothegoodlife.com/coaching. On Facebook, you can join my group, the Practical Stoic Mastermind. But for now, enjoy this episode. Hi there, my name's Simon Drew, and welcome to the Practical Stoic Podcast. Anything worth doing is worth doing well. Anything that will vastly improve the quality of your life is worth time, dedication, and persistence. This is true in all areas of your life, whether it be your career, your family life, your health, or even your study and practice of philosophy. Recently, some of the amazing people who I coach have mentioned to me that they sometimes feel as though the principles of Stoicism just aren't sticking like they had hoped. They're putting in the effort and they're using the principles of Stoicism in their lives, and yet still from time to time, a situation will occur where all of those principles seem to fly out the window and they'll go back into their old irrational behaviors. This is also something that I have struggled with from time to time. And so I thought that if some people, including myself, are dealing with this occasional relapse into old behaviors, then it's time to talk about it and offer some words of guidance. And, really the main guidance that I have is this: have patience. Recognize that if level 20 is the goal, you may only be at level 4. But remember that a few weeks ago you were at level 1, and so all it's going to take to improve and become stronger and more deeply rooted in this philosophy is for you to stay firm in your efforts and to continue on this path. Perseverance is the key. I can honestly say that although I'm not perfect, my continual study and application of Stoicism has absolutely led me to being a calmer, less reactive, and more thoughtful person. Yes, I mess up from time to time, and yet I'm so much better than the person who I used to be. And the road from there to here wasn't quick, and it wasn't necessarily easy, but it was simple. All it took was study, mindfulness, and the continual application of the principles. I'd like to share a quote that I've read on the podcast before, and I think it's just as relevant to this topic. It comes from Marcus Aurelius, and he said, quote, "Be not disgusted, nor discouraged, nor dissatisfied, if you do not succeed in doing everything according to right principles. But when you have failed, return back again, and be content if the greater part of what you do is consistent with man's nature, and love this to which you return." End quote. Sometimes it's easy to blow things out of proportion. We make a mistake or we get angry, and all of a sudden we feel like we've completely ruined our progress. But what Marcus Aurelius teaches us here is that we absolutely will fall back into bad habits. But when we fall back into those bad habits, what's important is that we get back up and push forward stronger than before. Have patience and recognize that any worthwhile personal change will take time. Where you are is perfect, and where you're going to be will happen one moment at a time. Stay on the path and stick to the process. I'd really like to share an analogy with you that may help you to better understand where you're at this moment. It's an analogy that has been widely shared within the personal development community, and so I have no doubt that many of you have heard this. But even though this is overshared, I think that it will still be a worthwhile reminder of the value of patience. And the analogy that I'm going to share is that of the Chinese bamboo tree. If you ever plant the seed of a Chinese bamboo tree, you should know what kind of ride you're in for. Because once you plant the seed, you'll have to nourish it every single day with what seems like absolutely no results. 1 year will go by and you'll see only a small bud with a stem, if you're lucky. Another year will go by and again you'll not see any real change. 2 more years will go by and still you're unlikely to see any kind of growth. But in the 5th year, within the space of just 6 weeks, you'll see this Chinese bamboo tree grow from the size of a bud to up to 90 feet high. All that growth is seen within such a short time frame. However, the question must be asked, How long did it take for that Chinese bamboo tree to grow to maturity? Did it take 6 weeks? Or did it take 5 years and 6 weeks? And of course the answer is the latter. Sure, the bulk of its growth was seen in those last 6 weeks, but without the preceding 5 years, there would be no growth at all. And, I think it would be amusing to most of you that when I found some Chinese bamboo tree seeds on Amazon, they had terrible reviews because everybody planted them and nothing was happening. If only they knew that the garden that they were planting was a 5-year project. Important things take time, and I would argue that there is nothing more important than your own personal growth and education. Sometimes it can seem like there's been no progress. But if you stick with it, and if you have enough patience to push through those times of little visible growth, you'll soon realize that all that time was not wasted, but rather it was the precursor to the growth that is now clear and abundant. Stop comparing yourself to others. Your case is unique. Stop trying to find shortcuts. Quick results simply don't last. Stop trying to convince yourself that the results should come faster, or that nothing is working simply because you had one lapse in judgment. It took you a lifetime to build those poor habits that you're now mending. So let's give at least a few years to the process of embodying a new philosophy. To finish up, I think that seeing as I shared an analogy about the Chinese bamboo tree, it would also be appropriate for me to share one of my favorite Chinese proverbs. It says, "Be not afraid of going slowly. Be afraid only of standing still." You're working in your best interests as long as you're dedicating yourself to personal growth and philosophical discovery. As long as you're not standing still, things are all right. Be patient. Give yourself the gift of time and see how high it takes you. I'll talk to you in the next episode, but until then, I hope that this episode has helped you on your rise to the good life. Ciao. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Practical Stoic Podcast. I hope it's been valuable for you. And if you'd like to support the show, then you can go to patreon.com/Simon Drew. If you'd like to try mindset coaching with me, then you can book your first free consultation by going to risetothegoodlife.com/coaching. To join the community, just go to Facebook and search for the Practical Stoic Mastermind. The links to all of these places are included in the show notes, but for now, this is Simon Drew signing out.